What's up, guys? It's April 7th, Tuesday. Sitting out here in the garage. Thought I'd take the time to do a more in-depth video on the kswap project we got going on the 96EK. I feel like I've just been all over the place with this thing, and I haven't really broke anything down of the parts that are required or the easiest way to do this. You can do this cost effective or you can ball out. We're kind of doing it in between. I feel like I'm spending more money on the engine parts that we do need, and I am keeping some stuff cost effective. I think the most expensive part was the mounts and some of the timing chain components. You don't have to go through and redo the timing or put a Type S oil pump on the motor like I did. I just wanted to freshen it up. I wanted the peace of mind. The motor was already out, so in my eyes it's less work than having to yank it out of the car in the future and doing that work. So I'm going to switch the camera around, which I can't do. We're going to start off with the motor. We are using a k24a2. So like I said, what I did is freshen up the timing components and I put a Type S oil pump. The Type S oil pump deletes the balance shafts, is less weight, and allows your motor to rev up higher. Besides that, it has stock internals, and we are going to be using a EP3 5-speed transmission. You can use a 6-speed, but that's more expensive. We picked up the motor from a Facebook page that I'm on, and we picked up the trans from the marketplace on Facebook. Hasport mounts are a little more on the expensive side, but we went with them. These are the k24a2 mounts, which allows the motor to sit. It has two settings on the mounts, so you can make it sit higher or lower, and these mounts also allow you to run a full-size radiator, and it allows the axles to sit at the angle they need to where they're not constantly being stressed. So over time that's gonna help you not break axles if you are putting power to your car or trying to get power out of it. So we decided for now we're gonna just go naturally aspirated, get this made it the trans, get it running. We're using a OEM Type S engine harness. You can get a tuck harness, but they're like $500-600. So for now I know I can make it work with the Type S harness, so that's what I'll be using. We are gonna be using aftermarket clutch because we do plan on turboing in the future, like I said. So I'm putting that in there now. This is a used clutch I bought off a friend of mine that has a turboed K20. It's a co-worker of mine, so it only has a few 100,000 miles. It still has a lot of life left, so that's why I bought a used clutch. But usually you just want to spend the money and get a new clutch because it's a hit or miss. But since I knew him, he's a personal friend, I went ahead and did that. What else? So if you're doing this swap, I decided to use the 92 to 95 EG subframe. I'm also using the EG manual power steering rack. You can use the electrics, but you gotta plug them up. You can also use the Integra subframe, the DC2. Keep in mind, if you do take the subframe out of those cars, you're gonna need the bolts that came out of the EG or the DC. Don't try to reuse the EK bolts because EG and the DC2 subframe bolts are a little longer, and you need those, and they'll go right in place in the EK chassis. But you do need to also grab that hardware with you if you do take the subframe out of those two chassis to work with your swap. Another thing you want to keep in mind. So I balled out. Well, I didn't ball out. My stepdad balled out because there was the mounts I recommended. But we balled out on the k24a2 mounts. I guess a cost-effective way for anyone that wants to do it. Guys out there do it. It works. But I'm personally not going to do it that way. You can buy the cheaper mounts. They're the EKK1 mounts. It allows you to keep the OEM EK subframe, but I believe the motor sits higher, so you have hood clearance issues. The axles don't sit at that angle they need to. They're constantly having stress on them, so you have a better chance of breaking axles if you're planning on pushing power with it. The other downfall, I think, is you don't have the option of running a full-size radiator with the EKK1 mounts. But not a lot of people like running a full-size radiator anyways. So it's just really your choice. We decided to go with the EKK2 mounts, so that's why we had to switch out the subframe like I was previously talking. But you can go the cheap route and buy the EKK1 mounts. So I wanted to clarify it just a little because I don't want to be confusing anybody out there. So like I said, this is the EG subframe. Came out of a 92 Honda Civic hatchback, and now it's bolted up to a 96 EK Civic Coupe. So by subframe, I mean this. I got the lower control arms out of a EG, out of that same 92. They'll bolt right up in place. These are the factory EK struts. They'll bolt right in place to the lower control arms. Like I said, I'm using manual EG steering rack with the inner and outer tie rods staying the same from a 92 Honda Civic hatchback. The only thing you will need to change out will be the U-joint knuckle on the steering shaft. The EK is too short. So if you take the subframe from a 92 to 95 Honda Civic hatchback or a 94 to 2001 Honda Integra, you will also need to go inside those cars and grab the U-joint knuckle, because the EK1 is too short and will never reach the rack. Another thing that I ran into for those guys that are putting the k24a2 in the EK chassis is the motor mount bracket. This one has to be switched out. I'm using one off 03 Honda CRV. Came off a K20. And that's gonna line up to my Hasbro mount. The original mount that comes on the k24a2 will never line up to the mount. So you do have to switch that out. Another thing, you won't be able to use the electric throttle body, guys. So you gotta get a cable driven. This one is off Honda Accord. Um, and the EK throttle cable, there's people that I've seen run the factory one. Just a little modification is needed. I'm gonna buy one off K-Tune, because the EK one I've heard is a little on the shorter side, so I just don't want any problems with my throttle sticking or anything funky going on. So I'm gonna spend the money and buy another throttle cable. But besides that, that's really much it. I'm sure I'm forgetting stuff. If anybody has any questions on anything, I still need axles. I still need to get a throwout bearing. That's why the motor isn't mated to the trans. You know, with everything that's been going on in the world lately with the coronavirus, kind of just put a stop on parts coming in or us buying anything. But once this all blows over, we will continue the project and get it all finished up for you guys. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Any positive or negative support is always welcome. You guys have a great day.